everybody. We had a little latency problem in this episode, so some of the audio might have a slight echo on it, but we have it resolved and it should no longer be an issue. Thanks. Hey everybody, it is August 23rd for episode 5 of Tacet Thoughts. With me today is myself, no duh. We have Chris again, my wonderful co-host, still in Fort Collins, Colorado. He was a little late today, but we'll blame that on global warming. So our guest today is really cool. He is an active percussion educator, composer, and performer in Southern Kentucky. He's currently director of percussion at Southwestern High School and director of bands at Southern Middle School in Somerset, Kentucky. His groups have performed with touring productions of The Music Man, the Campbellsville University Steel Band, at the Elk Grove Percussion Festival in Chicago, Illinois, the Laster Percussion Symposium in Atlanta, Georgia. I actually had a piece played there, I think last year, or the year before. The KASA Conference in Louisville, Kentucky, the Biltmore House in Asheville, North Carolina, the 2017 PASIC competition in Indianapolis, Indiana. As a performer, he's been with the Sacred Winds, the Orchestra Sinfónica Cristiana de El Salvador. I'm just going to guess that's in Salvador. Christine Anderson, the Almeida Duo, the Country Gentlemen Jazz Band. He serves as the principal percussionist in the Somerset Big Band. He's given clinics at a variety of schools and universities in the U.S., El Salvador, and Brazil. He's an active composer and arranger, having written for and taught various groups at the middle, high school, and university levels in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio. A lot of you probably know his compositions, his works Right Track, Ghost Garden, Ballado, and You Can't Get There From Here, as well as his collection of snare drum solos with tape, 5 on 5, are published through C. Allen Publications, a company that I share with him. In 2015, he was named the winner of the Heartland Marimba Festival's Young Composer Competition for his piece Island Market, another group I share with him. In 2016, he completed a consortium series of marimba solos and quartets for the University of Northern Carolina, Greensboro, entitled The Bridge. He also runs his own publishing company, Hopper Percussion, if you can't guess who it is by now, which specializes in custom-arranged percussion works and commissions. In 2019, he'll be launching Beatbox, which is Beat, B-E-A-T, B-A-C-H-S, like the composer, Beatbox, get it? .com, an online subscription-based percussion retailer specializing in exclusive percussion works. Another thing I'm involved with. We have more in common than we thought. He holds a bachelor's in music ed as well as a master's in percussion performance from Campbellsville University in Campbellsville, Kentucky. He has professional affiliations with Kentucky Music Educators Association and the Percussive Arts Society. He's a proud endorser of Vic Firth, Beetle Practice Pads, another company that Chris and I are both involved in. Man, it keeps happening. And Meinl Cymbals. He currently resides in Somerset, Kentucky with his wife, Sarah. Oh my gosh, whatever that is, that horrible blender noise in the background. He's in Somerset, Kentucky, with his wife Sarah and their cats Boss and Polonius. So I'm going to blame it on Chris Nadeau for that noise, but please welcome Adam Hopper. How's it going, dude?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, dude. Anyways, thanks for coming on with us, Adam, and talking about everything. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah, man. I'm just excited to do anything other than marching band right now, which is pretty exciting.
I feel that. Man.
So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So at your current gig, are you doing just percussion, or is it a full band director position?
No, so it's it's a little bit of both. So my first period class is high school percussion. Like that's what I do. Is I do first period in the first trimester. We do have trimesters at our school. So the first trimester it's marching band, and then the next 2 trimesters is percussion ensemble as a class, which is awesome. And I've fought for a couple of years to be able to have that in the schedule. And then when that class is over, I truck it across town to the middle school, and I've got 6th grade band, 7th grade band, 8th grade band, and then a 7th and 8th grade general music class, which I teach. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade band, I really enjoy teaching. The general music classes, they have their moments that are pretty fun, and then they have some moments that are pretty challenging, but for the most part, it's pretty fun.
That's cool. Yeah, Chris and I both, we live together in the Plano, which is a suburb of Dallas, but we've
Hmm.
done the gig of like, all right, class A ends at 10 o'clock and class B starts at 9:55. And like you
Right.
book it 10 miles across town to the other one and you show
Yeah.
up and people yell at you and like you gather it and it's chaos.
I think it's 10:25 when first period ends, and then no, sorry, 9:25 when first period ends, and then 9:31 is when second period begins. And it's about a 10-minute drive, and I make there's no way you just can't
Yeah.
do it. So I'm always a little late. But the headband director, the guy that is the headband director at the high school, he starts sixth grade band, so it works out really well. We kind of team teach that.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. Man, I remember it's really weird. Like Ghost Garden, your solo, which I'm sure a lot of people, especially if they teach like high school level, have heard in the past few years. I feel like just one day I woke up and it existed. I was just like, holy crap. Everybody's
Yeah,
playing this piece. Like this just blew up. Like I feel
look,
like it's
man.
like the equivalent, like you went viral in percussion.
Yeah, that was weird. The whole impetus behind that was just that. Not that I don't like Yellow After the Rain, but I just got tired of teaching it,
I feel
and
that.
so it was let's write something else. And one kid in particular was needing stuff for like college auditions and stuff. And I'm sure it's different places. I'm sure Texas or California or whatever, you know, kids are going to college auditions and they're playing crazy stuff. And here, 5 or 6 years ago, pretty much standard was a four-mallet etude, a four-mallet piece of some kind. It might be Yellow or Rain Dance or whatever. I just got kind of tired of teaching those pieces and hearing those pieces. So the goal was just to write something else. And then the video was really good. Just a friend of mine does video work, and he did it on the cheap for me, and it came out really well. So the video helped. I mean, if it wasn't for the video, I don't think it would have done as well.
Yeah, your video for that and your others have always been like we've talked about this with Cameron Leach, like the video quality is just super high.
Yeah. And then look, man, that's all that dude. Joe Stockton is his name. I just grew up with him. Graduated high school with his sister. He was a year behind me. I'm from a really small town where everybody kind of knows each other, and he works for a company in Louisville now called Thoughtfly Media, and they do commercials and they do some movie stuff and things, and he just kind of side project this thing. He'll every now and then he'll do it for me, and he did Moving Mountains video, which just came out, and he's done everything for me, short of just one or two that I've tried to do myself, um, and they look significantly less good. Like the stuff that he does versus the stuff that I can do on my own, it's not even close.
I feel that. I always put like I feel like I have to put so much work into my videos and then I do my video and it's just like, well, that looks like a B plus at the best.
Yeah, that's how I feel about mine.
Yeah, I spend more time on YouTube watching like how to do stuff that's probably very simple. Like how to combine two different still shots or whatever. And I just end up watching some like video of a 14-year-old and wherever they're doing it like super fast, and I feel dumb. So I can do it, but it's not anywhere near the quality that somebody like that can do. And audio too, like I struggle with audio, I feel like.
Yeah, same. So, can you talk a little bit about Moving Mountains? Like Chris mentioned earlier that he's bought, and I've seen a lot of people have purchased your shirts. Can you just talk about what it is and like how it came to be and in your personal life?
Yeah, so the deal is this: my wife and I are adopting. We're adopting our son Jack from Thailand, and we've been in that process for about a little over, well, about a year and a half probably. And so anybody that kind of knows anything about adoption, and certainly international adoption, it's not quick at all. Like you would think. Well, you wouldn't think. I don't know. TV and movies and stuff, they make it seem like it's really fast.
Yeah.
Like we were watching something, I think it was like Full House or something, and they adopted a kid. It's like 3 days. It doesn't work that way at all. It's a really, really slow process. So in that process, we're just trying to, it's also very expensive. Like anything that takes this amount of time ends up being pretty expensive, and so we're trying to raise some money and just kind of make people aware of it maybe more than anything else. And So I wrote a piece called Moving Mountains, which is it's a little bit based on some traditional like Northeast Thai melodic structure stuff. And I don't claim to be any kind of expert on that. Like I just kind of researched it one day and found some stuff out. Like, you know, so I'm sure anybody that if they ever study, they're like an ethnomusicologist of like, you know, Thailand and Laos and places like that. I'm sure they're going to be like, shut up, what do you know? You don't know what you're talking about. But, you know, just try to kind of combine some of that stuff with some of the stuff like that you hear in the Appalachian region, Kentucky, which is where I live. You know, there's the hymn, the Leaning on the Everlasting Arms. That hymn is kind of worked in there as well. So, and just trying to write it as a percussion quartet. So the T-shirts are out and they're for sale, and then the piece just came out, and you know it's self-published, so it's on my site. But I sent out a couple emails to some people. Campbellsville University actually premiered it last year. Chad Floyd and his crew premiered it, and then my kids played it, and we recorded it for the video. Me and some friends of mine, and then hopefully it'll get picked up. Some other people can play it, and yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's at hopperpercussion.com.
It's at hopperpercussion.com. Yeah, it's a actual physical piece. I'm trying to decide whether I want to do like a digital download, if that's easier. I don't know what people do now. I still like physical media.
I can't decide. Like I prefer physical, but it's so, man, it like quadruples the workload of publishing.
For ensemble stuff, I feel like I like physical better, but for solos and stuff, I like digital. And like when I'm giving kids music, I love digital.
Yeah.
Because if I give them something, it's like, this is the only one, please. I need this back. I know it's no chance.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a hard. Like I know Ivan Trevino does digital, Casey only does physical, and it's just like. Right. Who knows what the right answer is? I like things about both. I can't decide.
Right. That video though for Moving Mountains, we recorded it in this old movie theater in Somerset, and it's like they closed the movie theater sometime like the late '80s, and they've not apparently had anybody even like in there, like hardly at all in 20 years or something. And there used to be a stage in there, and that's all like fallen down and dilapidated and stuff, and they said it was the first live music that had been there in like 60 years and the first performance of any kind in 20-something years. And they were really cool to let us come in and do it. One of the guys I talked about he was like, we don't let rock bands in here. We don't want rock bands to come in here and record. The guy that owns the building. And the other guy was like, we'll talk. So he kind of talked the first guy into it. I think it was just very funny that the concept of we were a rock band. Try to explain contemporary percussion ensemble to somebody that has no idea what that is it's like trying to explain color to a blind person.
Yeah, I think one of the percussion dudes explains it when they talk to somebody that doesn't know what they do. They'll just say like, "Yeah, we're a band of drummers." Like a band with 4 drummers? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just 4 drummers, and they saw the video. They were super excited, I think, when they saw it and they saw that we didn't like tear it down, you know, blow the building up or anything.
Oh man. Yeah. So you're are you a UK fan or a Louisville fan?
I'm a UK fan. Louisville doesn't exist, man. No, I'm a huge UK fan. And where I'm from, which is kind of southeast Kentucky, like there aren't Louisville fans here. It's pretty much UK or Tennessee and the occasional maybe North Carolina fan or something. Because I grew up on the Tennessee border. Yeah. So, yeah, Louisville, I've never been a Louisville fan until I went to college, and that's not a joke.
Wow, nice.
Real statement.
Yeah. I've talked with Chris about this before, but man, I like watching like pro ball. I really like watching college ball of any sport, but like I only enjoy it when I'm not in school. Like this year and the past 2 years, I won't watch any of it. Like I'll catch highlights now and then, but like it's just such a satisfying feeling. And I used to not like watching sports, but like it's just a good feeling to like sit down with some friends and like have a couple of drinks and some food and like watch a game.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a huge UK fan just in general. Like if UK is doing anything, I'll watch it and I'll root it on. But I love March Madness just because, you know, you do the bracket and if you if you put a wager down on it, which I know you're not supposed to, but one of those things. For some reason, you've got a vested interest in teams you don't care about, so that's kind of fun. Like, you really need, Creighton to beat, UConn or whatever, and you're like, I don't care about Creighton or UConn, but you're really, really hoping that one team wins or something. So that's kind of fun. And football season's about to start up, so that's always a point of agony for Kentucky fans.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting to have football season again and not working with the college marching band now, because I had just finished my master's at Colorado State, and I would have never known they existed beforehand. So it's been interesting being vested in the football team based on how it would affect my December schedule.
Were you actively rooting against them, or like?
I can't say that online sometimes, but there were certain games I wanted us to win more than others, depending on what bowl game that might push us towards.
Right. I understand.
The Hawaii Bowl would have been cool because we wouldn't have gone. It's Christmas Day. They're not going to send the entire band to Hawaii. I get to go home.
Yeah, right.
But then,
if they did, it's Hawaii, so that's cool.
Yeah. But then there's also the other ones where it's just like, all right, what bowl game are we going? The Boise Potato Bowl. Let's really try not to do that one. Oh, we're going to Boise. Okay, here we are in Boise. It's been interesting because growing up in our area, it was University of Texas or Louisiana State was where all the people were from me, and so I'd like getting into Mountain West Division football has been really interesting and maybe a bit depressing. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I'm excited to go back and just watch like the teams I want to watch now.
Yeah, for sure. I always just. Those first couple of weeks of college football season, it really is. It's pretty fun. Like it just even if you're not a sports fan, just how into it everybody gets and how exciting it is. It is pretty fun. Yeah. And that's the one thing. Like I went to Campbellsville University, is a really small school, and I loved it and it was great. And here's a cat right on cue. Wait a minute. There's Thelonious the cat. So.
Oh, man.
But yeah, Campbellsville University, really small, and like it's an NAIA school, so the bowl games were always like some other stretch on the road in like Missouri or somewhere you had to go to, and the football team when I was there was not very good, so we never really had to worry about too much postseason play.
Yeah. Man. We had Commerce when we were there, and that's like a Div 2 school. Like, we never had to worry about that either. Like, I don't even remember if our team was good or not. That's how much I paid attention at that one. I do remember that while we were in the marching band there, though, our football stadium didn't have away stands.
That's right.
It was just home stands. So we just looked at a big open lot on the other side, so it was kind of depressing. But, now, like, I was, after we got done with the New Mexico Bowl with Colorado State, I remember going back to our hotel and sitting in the bar at that hotel watching the Division II football championship and watching Commerce win.
Right.
Like, where was that team?
Yeah, right. I remember one time in Campbellsville being in line for the cafeteria and like the drum line, we were all together and the football team was behind us and you couldn't really tell like who was who. Like we were all the same size.
Oh.
And then now, like I think they're good now. It's like you see these dudes and they're all jacked and they're enormous, and so not circa like 2005. I don't think they were quite as studly as they maybe are now.
Oh man, yeah, I remember one season Chris and I went to undergrad together, and like the football team lost like every game. Like they didn't win a single game all season. And then look on like Facebook and like ESPN too, and it's like, oh, they won their title. Okay.
I guess it changes quick. I mean, it's weird, but I guess even like when you look at drum corps and things like that, it seems like that happens too. Like all of a sudden, the Mandarins are good. Like how did that happen? Like when this came out, it doesn't come out of nowhere, but it seems like it does. So if you're not paying attention, then just all of a sudden there they are.
Yeah. Well, it was a really fast transition for Commerce because we were in Dallas teaching after we graduated. I remember you and I watching ESPN in the morning, just watching the top 10, and we saw Commerce on there, and I was like, oh, that can't be good. That's going to be funny. But they were on there like they won a game. It was like 100 and something to 0.
Yeah.
Like it was the worst shutout I've ever heard of in college football. I was like, what? How did that happen in a single year?
Yeah.
Where is Commerce? Like I know it's
like an hour east of Dallas.
Yeah.
Okay. my Texas geography skills are not great.
Neither am I.
Neither are mine. I know Dallas and Austin. Outside of that, damn thing's too big.
Right.
I moved to Vegas. It's a 22-hour drive. 12 hours of getting out of Texas.
Well,
Right.
when Anthony Jackson and I did the Southern California International Marimba competition, we decided to drive to California because we'd never been out West Coast. And that was a mistake because I remember 13 hours in on that drive, we were still in Texas. And it was over half of the trip. We made it through like New Mexico in like 4 hours.
A couple years ago when PASIC was in San Antonio, Chad Floyd, who was my professor at Campbellsville, and another Baldy, Chris, me and you and him. And
There's a lot, man. There's a lot growing out there.
We were going to go to PASIC together, and he was like, we'll just drive. Like, if you look to where San Antonio is, it's almost to Mexico. Like, so we ended up flying, but it was, man, I can't imagine driving from Kentucky to San Antonio. That'd be murder.
Oh, yeah.
We did do those PASIC trips from Commerce in our caravan all the way to Indianapolis. Those were fun.
And that's nothing against Arkansas and Missouri and all those places, but man, there's nothing. It's just
There's nothing. There's nothing there.
it's just
We ran into tornadoes that one time.
Yeah. Yeah, we ran into some tornadoes on the drive. It was crazy. Man. So, you mentioned Adam and I had a little Facebook talk earlier. Are you a connoisseur of cigars by chance?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Look, here's the deal. My wife occasionally lets me have them. I say occasionally. I guess actually she's pretty good about it. But every now and then she'll say no more. But that's my vice. Like that's my. Everybody's got their one bad habit. That's mine. The occasional cigar. Usually it's a victory smoke. Something happens, you know. Concert's done, tour's done, record's done, school is done. It's not like it's Tuesday. You know?
Yeah. It's Tuesday. So, The Price is Right was on. That was a pretty good episode.
Right. It's my favorite rerun of Seinfeld, so let's do it. No, it's so but every now and then she's like, you probably should not do that for another like little bit. So she keeps me honest.
I have them every now and then for the same thing, like victory type things. I probably have like two a year, unless it's a good year. I need to not be successful. I need to not do that.
See, that's why I should start telling her. I was like, yeah, baby, look, it's going well. Like, what are you gonna do? It could be worse.
Man, I'm totally like, I'm into the not like cool Scarface cigars. Like I have one at my desk that I'm saving for whenever. But it's like a coffee Java one, so it like tastes like espresso.
Right. I'm not one of these guys. It's like I can't tell the difference between like Dominican and Honduran rappers. I mean, good is good and bad is bad, but I don't have a refined enough palate to be able to break it down. I do think I do like buying them though. Like just something about a cigar store I really enjoy going into because it always seems like it's some old guy that's got it figured out.
Yeah, right. It's like a mixologist. You come in, he's like showing you it's like a secret lab you go into.
It's just something about like you go into the big rooms, like the rainforest. It's cool.
Yeah. So Adam contacted me, I guess a few months ago, maybe May or June or something like that. I got involved in his publication company that's starting up in January of 2019, coming up. A subscription-based publishing service called Beatbox. Can you just spread the gospel of that is Beatbox a little bit?
Yeah, well, first of all, I hope it's going to work. Like let me say that. I mean, it will work in some description or another. But basically, the situation is this: I just had this idea for a subscription service that would allow a customer to be able to purchase new percussion literature once a month. So the idea was to get a select menu of composers and have it to where those composers submit new works once a month or about once a month. We put up new works each month, so it wouldn't be new pieces from everybody each month, but there would be new content each month. And so the service would be you would pay a one-time yearly fee, $20, and then you are able to purchase from the site and every piece on the site is $10. So basically, if you are a college student or maybe a developing high school student or whatever like that, you pay $20 and you've got your access to the site, and then every month you can log on. And on this site, there are 10 composers, and then their pieces are there, and you can select a piece. It's immediate. We're talking about digital download. It's an immediate PDF digital download, and then you've got it, and it's your piece. So you got the one-time $20 investment, and then $10 per piece. Also thinking about, a big potential market, and this is something that I kind of wish that I had when I was in high school, was if you like the non-percussionist band director. Growing up, my high school band director, I had several of them. None of them were percussionists. So if I ever wanted to play a solo of any kind, I wouldn't have known what to buy or where to even start. And if you go to Lone Star or Steve Weiss or whatever, the great thing is that they got everything. But if you're, sometimes the bad thing is that they've got everything. Like you don't even want to know where to start. And so if you're a non-percussionist band director and you just want to make sure that your kids have got lit to work on, once a month, here's this kind of curated menu of options that is available for people to dive into, and easy digital download, print, and go.
Yeah, I talked to a few people about it recently. I got commissioned by one of Chris and I's friends, Michael Jones, who's part of the Heartland Marimba Quartet, to write him a new piece, a marimba solo. And I finished the first movement. He's got it in his hand, or he's got it. He hasn't. I don't think he's finished learning it yet. But he asked. I was telling him about the beatbox situation, and he asked if is this going to be one of those available? And I can't speak for the other composers involved, but I can definitely say that I do not view it as writing you're not going to sign in, and your 3 pieces you download are going to be the difficulty of Merlin, Velocities. Some guy's chain piece. The thing, I have one of my pieces finished for you already, but if you're a junior or a senior in undergrad, you can probably sight read it.
Yeah, and then look, man, and that's, if you want a big monster piece that's going to shut the world down, then you need to probably look at Sea Island or Tap Space or whatever like that. This really isn't what this product or what this site is. I guess it's a publishing company, but really it's more of a retail site, because we're not technically publishing anything. We are just basically have an exclusivity clause with these composers that this is the only place you can buy this for as long as it's on the site. I think the target market is really more middle school, high school, and it's because of that kind of gap where what the Ghost Garden hit. There's a lot of high school kids that needed a 4 1/3 octave marimba solo to play that wasn't, Yellow After the Rain or Rain Dance. And I think there are things like that. I think this can kind of fill that gap a little bit, and not just with marimba, vibraphone, snare drum, timpani. There can be world stuff on there, pan, drum set, different things like that. Even I talked to somebody the other day, they were talking about wanting to do a tambourine one. Absolutely. That's, an 8th grade tambourine etude. The world needs that. It really does. My 8th graders, they definitely need it.
My collegiate students need tambourine etudes.
Yeah. Look, man, I probably need one too, quite honestly.
I don't know what I'm doing. I just put it on a stand and smack it with a stick. It's gotten me by so far. I won't say
with no head. That one really sounds good. The plastic one that looks like a Jesus fish. I get that one. That's a good one.
They have heads? I didn't even know. Yeah. So the people that have been announced, for anyone that hasn't seen, there is a beatbox. Again, it's beats and then Bach, like the composer, Bachs, beatbox. The people announced so far are Josh D. Smith. A lot of you probably know him. Corey Friend, Francisco Perez, myself, Brandon Arve, Nick Fields, and M. Jordan Williams. And there will be several more that come out in the next couple of weeks as we get closer to this January 1st date.
The one we're releasing tomorrow, which is, what is tomorrow?
Friday
August
the
something.
24th?
24th, yeah. Is Matt Moore, who's a fellow Texas guy. He's down in the DFW area. So I went to college with Matt, and Matt is one of those guys that if you go to PASIC with Matt, it's hard to get through the hallway because he literally knows everyone.
Yeah.
But he's just one of those guys.
Oh man, yeah. Chris and I have played with Matt in a few things here and there, and he's always been a blast.
Yeah, me and Matt marched quads together at Campbellsville one year, and I had no business marching quads. I mean, he played with Rhythm X and marched Crown and all these things, and I literally had no clue what I was doing. I mean, just the worst. And Matt's also like 6'7" and super skinny.
Yeah.
So it looked like a dad and his son out there trying to play quads. It looked terrible. Like, if you watch those videos, it's just Matt crushing it and me over there looking like a dope.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna work out personally. Yeah, again, I think the biggest misconception the few people I've talked to might think about it, and just because they haven't talked to one of us enough about it, is that it's definitely not like you're not getting like the heavy hitter doctoral recital pieces, like they're educational focused works.
Right. And also too, like, it's all solos in chamber pieces. So I mean, nothing bigger than a trio or a quartet. So I mean, if you're wanting to do percussion ensemble, a piece was 6, 7, 8, 12, 20 kids, whatever. Then, like I said, C. Allen, tap space, something like that. Like that's more of what those guys. I can't touch what those guys do on that. Like I can't even imagine trying to come up with something that could handle the amount of literature that those guys have and the quality literature. Like everything is good. This is something I think that maybe kind of hits an area that maybe that market doesn't really hit as solidly, and it makes it a little easier. Like I said, just thinking about the non-percussionist band director, this makes it maybe a little more streamlined for them.
Yeah, I know a lot of them go to roll-off, which is good. They have lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
But the solos, I think, is what's really cool about the beatbox idea. It's like there's educational solo lit.
Right. And it's the kind of thing that it's all reward, no risk. Like I was telling somebody the other day, worst case scenario, a bunch of dudes write a bunch of pieces. I mean, and the world keeps turning.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool. I've high hopes.
Be good.
So I got a question. You've played in El Salvador and South America, but I think it was this past year you toured some and played in Brazil, gave clinics. How did you get? I'm always curious. Like, I've had friends, or like not friends, I would have asked them, but I've had like acquaintances that go down to like Patagonia or Brazil or El Salvador or Chile, and they do these things. I'm just like, who do you know down there? How'd you get down there?
There are always connections that are just a little strange, but they always work out. So I've been to Brazil 4 times, 2 times with my church growing up on a mission trip. 1 time in college, we took the jazz band there and we toured, which was pretty awesome. Like that's a pretty good gig, being an American jazz band on tour when you're 19 years old or whatever. That's pretty fun. And then this last time I went was to speak at a clinic. It was actually put on the Kentucky Baptist Convention. They do a kind of a masterclass focus session, breakout weekend thing for church musicians. And they were looking for someone to come in and talk about percussion and drums and stuff like that. And just kind of my wife, a lady that she grew up going to church with, was her music minister and stuff, that she was kind of on the committee for that. And my name came up. Actually, Josh Smith had done it, I think, a year or 2 before me. And it was just a really kind of a neat connection that worked out. And that was a ton of fun. That was Manaus, which is kind of north central Brazil. It's right on the Amazon River, which is pretty neat because I'd never actually been to the Amazon in any way. And it's exactly like what you think it would be, like when you get out on, we took a boat up the river and stuff. And I mean, it looks just like something out of, just like if you ever saw the movie Anaconda with Ice Cube and Jennifer Lopez, like that's what it looks like,
Yeah, was Ice Cube there? Because
Ice Cube was not there. I looked for him. I said, and he didn't respond. So I guess
one of Chris and I's mutual friends actually, like last week, met Ice Cube. He was playing a gig down in Austin, and Ice Cube was there, and he got a picture and got to talk to him. It was really crazy.
Did Ice Cube smile in the picture? I can't imagine. He had to
did.
Look like he always looks, right?
Well, okay, now you got me. Yeah, it was like that half. It wasn't like a full smile. It was like the kind of like cool guy smile.
Yeah, I can't imagine
Yeah.
Ice Cube like cheesing it in the picture.
Yeah. Oh
Maybe he
man.
does. I don't know. But similar kind of deal with the El Salvador gig. Friend of mine is the director of bands at Hannibal LaGrange University in Hannibal, Missouri, and they've had a partnership with the National Christian Symphony in El Salvador. And so, same kind of thing. They needed someone to come down and teach some percussion clinics and things like that. And so, I went down and did it. That's my second time going there. El Salvador was a really neat country, which I think a lot of people probably give it a bad rap. I think all the stuff you see on the news and stuff is maybe a little not positive.
Yeah. Right.
But man, they are really, really nice people. You know, really warm and everything about it's. I really like it.
Man, that's really hip.
And man, everybody can play too. Like that's the thing. Like whatever. I mean, maybe it's a little bit arrogant, but you go down and you think, these kids aren't going to. I mean, they're high school students, maybe early college for the most part. They aren't going to know how to like do timpani rolls, or they're not going to know anything on drum set or whatever. And they do. Like they know tons. The thing that blew me away in El Salvador the first time we went was how much everybody loved marching percussion and could play.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're sitting there, playing stuff out of the grid book, and they'd learned the Blue Devil snare break on YouTube and were playing it. Like, it's crazy. The drums are garbage, but I mean, they sound good. I mean, they're playing well.
Yeah. We
So
had
that kind of floored me.
my master's teacher, Dean Gronemeyer, lived in Mexico for several months on and off, teaching down there. He would just go down, teach for a few months, come back. But he
Yeah.
said the same thing. Like, you would think, okay, Mexico marimba, and like he thought it was not going to be so good, but he goes down there and just like, oh man, these kids are like playing stuff. It's like cool.
Yeah, they're hungry there, man. In El Salvador, you actually can't major in music. None of the federal universities offer a music major. So if you are a musician in El Salvador and you want to study music at the collegiate level, you have to go somewhere else. A lot of them go to Costa Rica. I think some of them used to go to Venezuela, but not anymore because it's Venezuela.
Yeah, right.
And if they get lucky, like if the planets align, they get in the United States, they'll study here. But I mean, Costa Rica, a lot of them go there to study. And they come back, they can play. I mean, that orchestra, everybody in it can play.
Yeah. I think it's just an American thing. Like we have this kind of, and maybe we're brought up with it. We kind of have this kind of arrogance, like we think because we have nicer gear, or we have like better looking facilities. But like, I mean, two of our friends, Samuel Perizzolo and Zeca Lacerda from Chris's undergrad, that did their masters from Brazil, those guys can play. Like they can play better than everybody else.
Yeah. The Brazilian guys, they'll throw out these, especially on drum set, they'll like ask you these, like, do you know forró? Do you know, maracatu or something? And like, I've heard of those, but like, and I can probably maybe get by in the United States being like it's close, but down there, like everything's so precise and they know everything. You can't fake it. You can't cheat them because they know.
Yeah. We had a group percussion class in my master's, and one semester we did only Peruvian folkloric like instruments, and I was just like, this is so specific, but it was so hard, and it was like so vast, and there were so many rhythms and feels and style changes, and it's just like, wow, this is like one sect of one country, and it's kind of amazing.
There's a book. Mark Walker's got a world percussion, like a drum set book, and man, it's unbelievable how complex everything is, and it's like a social studies class trying to figure out how everything got where it got. It's crazy. Guys that can play all that stuff and know how to do the authentic stuff at that level, I'm really impressed by, and I can't even begin to figure out how you would do all that.
Yeah, I feel that. Chris, you do Brazilian ensemble, right? Or you did at CSU?
Yeah, I ran it 2 semesters up here. I do Brazilian ensemble, and I teach based on what I've learned over the years. It started with that same guy we talked about, Samuel Perizzolo. He started the one at Commerce, and me and another friend just got really into it. I remember starting having my mind blown by discovering the pandeiro.
Yeah,
and
right.
like learning all the techniques and stuff with that. And it was just something fun to do, and I kind of enjoyed it. And then I worked after Samuel left. I was one of the people that kept the ensemble going and kept going with it. I got a few resources to study. Uh, kind of had one that I worked with at Plano when I taught out in Dallas, and then got up here and they're like, yeah, do you have any? We normally have some kind of world ensemble that we just let a grad student run. I was like, well, I mean, I don't know anything else. I can do Brazilian ensemble, and so the adjunct guy, Shiloh Stroman, just was like, perfect. I was looking for a place to store all my drums, so we just dropped them off at the school and kind of took it off. But yeah, it's a really interesting concept. It just kind of how like one country has so many different styles when you get to studying the different samba schools and seeing what people like what style really defines each school and everything. And it was a lot of fun. Nothing like teaching it to a whole bunch of Northern Colorado white kids. And
Yeah, right.
but yeah, I mean it's still fun. And even then we kind of keep like an American approach to it. So I never claimed to be an expert. There's a guy over at I can never remember his name, but University of Colorado in Boulder. That is just a phenomenal Brazilian percussionist. Though every time I see him play, I'm just kind of mind blown at what he's capable of doing from being here. And I know he's gone down quite a bit and studied a lot, but I've gone to as many clinics of his as I can, and each time I feel like I've learned just like an entire boatload of information.
Yeah. We tried to do we've tried to kind of dip our foot into the Brazilian stuff at my high school a little bit, which I mean, you're only gonna be able to go so deep. But like last year for percussion ensemble, we did Magalhães, the Sergio Mendes tune, and we sang. So we taught us to sing in Portuguese, which was it went better than you maybe think. A bunch of you talk about Northern Colorado white kids, I mean a bunch of Eastern Kentucky white kids. I mean, goodness gracious, we can barely speak English most of the time, and we're trying to do Portuguese. I thought we had it really good. I took a video of it and I sent it to some of my friends in Brazil, and they were like, "We don't know what you're saying." So we didn't have it as good as we thought we did, but the concert went cool, so that was neat.
Adam? Is your wife also a music teacher?
She's an English teacher, but she's a musician. She's a vocalist.
Cool.
And she's you know, she doesn't give herself nearly enough credit. She's very, very, very good. She's sang in Italy and Ireland and different things like that. She's been a part of ensembles that have been all over the country and stuff. She's excellent.
I've been trying to research this thing that keeps like it pops up this time of the year every single year on Facebook and Instagram and stuff when people are making their classrooms or their band halls for the year. And it always kind of bothers me. I know other people it bothers, so I wrote out a little something just to keep my mind straight. But please weigh in if y'all want. So this is kind of on this idea of music incorporating other subjects. So I really sometimes get a little tired of people comparing other subjects to music. And again, like I said, it comes up with those acronym posters in front of classrooms a lot this time of year. We'll say like, music is music, M, math, the U of language, and it'll be like history, reading, science, so on and so forth. So thankfully, I feel like I'm seeing less of it every year, but my biggest issue, and I'll expand on in a little bit, is that one, I think it's false. I don't think music really incorporates these things, and at least not to the extent that we think they do. And two, music needs to exist as its own entity on its own merit. So to start with this first idea that I don't think is true, just subject by subject, we just aren't really teaching these subjects like we say we are, and I think that's okay, so we don't need to be. But inside like the standard US high school band class, you're looking at 5 to 8 hours a week of rehearsal inside of that class, normal school hours. That's assuming you have 69 minutes a day, every day. So you think this history is taught as these passing blurbs about composers and their eras, and concepts of science are not typically addressed. You can argue that the overtone series and concepts of reverb and how basic acoustic works is science, but it's so broad and it's so unfocused that it's almost hard to say that it's actually science. The foreign language and reading aspects, I think they're kind of a little far-fetched as well, because we're dealing with fundamental, topic-specific, non-conversational vocabulary, like stuff that people just don't really use when it comes to foreign language. And the concept of math is kind of what gets me the most. And if you talk to mathematicians or math professors or teachers, they often think the same thing. We talk about this relation between math and music, but we don't really dive into it. I think music and math are related like on a very base level. The math behind acoustics is obviously a thing that's a given. That's absolutely true. But it's so advanced and irrelevant to our day-to-day classes, especially in the public school system, that we can't really consider it vital information. And also the concepts that music can help with fraction and addition is again so base, it's almost to the point of absurdity. I mean, you think about most music's in 4/4. We're talking about taking things and breaking them down like to dollars and quarters, and then so on and so forth. It's like the money system we learned so much earlier in life. And you always hear the quote about like students who participate in music do better in math. And that's true. That's like objectively true, but I don't think that's the correlation they're thinking it is. So NAFMA released several advocations for music that actually sides with me, that addressed these issues a few years ago. They basically said that music does need to stand on its own, and it lists some involvement that it helps with. So NAFMA suggested that it helps with reasoning and decision making, development of ability to memorize and advancing ability to memorize things, work ethic, coordination, sense of achievement, engagement in school, because students who have an enjoyable subject do better in other subjects because you have a reason to be there, a reason to work, which is kind of the vis-a-vis the music math quote. If you're having fun in music and you're doing good at that, you're probably doing good in your other subjects. Societal success, which is avoidance of negative influences because you're maybe in rehearsal. Emotional development, self-esteem, pattern recognition, better SAT scores is a little vague in my opinion, but this is one of the ones they listed. More finely tuned auditory skills, such as the ability to detect meaningful, informative, emotion-bearing sounds. So such as if you hear a baby's cry, it seems that musicians are able to tell what's wrong quicker. Intellectual curiosity and exploration, anti-stressor, just music is an anti-stressor, same thing if you're playing sports, it can be considered that. Discipline and achievement, preparation for the creative economy, so future pro musicians and music existing as a fabric of society. Creative thinking, boost to spatial intelligence. General teamwork, responsible risk-taking, self-confidence, and most importantly, an aesthetic appreciation of the world in general. So kind of my overarching idea is that you should mention these concepts of history, math, science, language, blah, 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 etc. in your classrooms. Because you never know, the one short bio of Beethoven that's in the side of like the stock Win class method book may be the spark that gets that one person a little more involved or more involved in a big way. So if that 5 minutes of a tangent into Beethoven and who his bio or who he was, what his bio was, between the rounds of F around the room makes one person more invested, it's probably worth it because you save that one kid. However, I do think, and I think a lot of people side with me, is we should stop using this idea that other subjects should be used as a basis of justification to our admins, which is hard to say because it's you kind of need that to survive because you need your admins to support you. Obviously, the higher ups, they love to see a class that's an art that also includes math, music, science, etc. But it's, again, one of those very short-sighted survival techniques, in my opinion. So if you don't break the cycle of using other subjects to justify what we do, you can't really expect to be taken to a serious degree. And it definitely doesn't happen all at once. Like, we don't all okay, first day of school's next Monday. All right, everybody, shut this down. We're changing the game. But I think there needs to be some strides so the arts can stand on their own. Because you hear about the budget cuts and the extracurricular cuts and the budget reductions. And if you have a subject that you can't have it stand on its own, I feel like you're just never going to get that budget back or that support back because you're constantly going to be saying well, eventually one day it's going to come to, all right, so your class is kind of the bastardization of math and science and music. why not just take your class out and we'll give these kids like an extra study period to focus on those subjects.
Right.
Just some stuff that's been on my mind because I've seen them, and like I said, the whole acronym, I see it more in elementary music, and I think it's just kind of a hyping point. I don't think a lot of people follow it to the extent that we think they do, and for better or worse. I don't know. Y'all have any thoughts about that? It's just been kind of on my mind this week.
Yeah, I mean, really, to me, if you wanted to take the bigger like college and career ready components of music or band or whatever, and that's a big thing in Kentucky. I don't know if it is in Texas, but college and career ready, like that's the phrase, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it teaches you being involved in instrumental music, recording music, whatever. Teaches you time management. Like that is the thing, like that you will take the rest of your life, and no matter what you do, if you're digging ditches or if you're playing for the Met or whatever, like, you know, if you can't manage time, then, you know, you're not a lot of use as an employee to a lot of people. And then also, too, it forces kids, especially at the middle school and high school age, to think creatively and to study people that thought creatively. And creativity in 2018 is a pretty marketable talent. And if you understand how to think outside the box and, you know, can look at something that's been done one way and think of a way to do it another way, like that's a concept that it's hard to teach kids in other classes. I mean, I'm totally with you. I've always thought that, I mean, the connections with all the other stuff it's nice and it's to a point true, but I mean, you're exactly right. I think I forgot who I've heard say it, and Charles or somebody. It's like, why can't we just have it because it's cool?
Yeah, right.
Why can't we just do band because it's fun? The music's good.
It kind of brings up. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say I personally don't know if I've ever actually used any cross curriculum teaching. Like I know I've been encouraged before, but I really, I mean, outside of like encouraging kids to go back and do some like background research on a composer, but you know, like when you're teaching lessons or percussion class, I mean, there's not very often that that would even really be beneficial. I mean, like most of our composers are still here.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
We're sitting with you right now.
Yeah, right. So it's just been it's an interesting thought. Like I was trying to reach back to things like, well, have I ever used? I mean, I think I screamed at kids for not being able to count, but I mean, so maybe that's math, just screaming.
Yeah, the math thing is nice, but it's really division. Like it's third grade division.
Yeah, that's all it really is.
I remember
counting to 8 maybe. But.
Yeah, I remember student teaching, and I was observing like a beginner flute class, and the teacher at the time, he said something like, he's like, "Come on, y'all, you know, all right, we're 4/4, 4 quarter notes. You just got to split it into 4. It's the easiest math you'll ever do." And at the time, I was thinking like, well, music and math. And then like an hour later, I was just like, oh wait, yeah, it's just counting to 4. So 4 quarters makes $1.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah. And Casey Cangelosi, his dad is a math professor. He's a mathematician. And Casey's told me about like, we always talk about like the golden ratio and music and art and stuff. And then he tells his dad about it, and his dad's like, yeah, that's like not cool. That's like not a thing. You can find the golden ratio anywhere. I can throw a bunch of pins on this desk, and the golden ratio will show up. Like it just appears. Like it's so natural. It's ingrained in everything, which makes it cool. But because you have like a major third that goes to a 6 chord, and that happens on beat 3, 63 seconds into the piece, it doesn't make it cool. It was going to happen anyways. It's going to happen like constantly. Like you'll find it if you want to find it.
Right. There are certainly, I mean, I don't want to discredit any of that. Even like talking about like the language, like I said, I mean, we sang in Portuguese last year in my percussion ensemble class. Like that's something that, I guess maybe that benefits them in some way, maybe going forward. But I mean, I don't think just the natural, like, you know, you learn forte, you know what that word means, so now you know another language. I don't think it really works that way.
Sure.
Like I said, I think the more practical educational stuff in music, like I said, time management and you know, being able to just do what you like, handle your business and then, you know, continue through a challenge. Because I mean, we're doing sixth grade band right now with my sixth graders, and man, we just started. Okay, so today was the first note. You know, time for band, number one in the red book, and it sounds, you know, terrible. like you got to fight through that. Like you can't get frustrated that it sounds bad now. You know, whatever job you have, you're probably going to be bad at it the first day. I mean, if you're a brain surgeon, you got to get past that first day.
For sure.
So I don't know. I think all of those things are way more important than an important argument to administration than saying it's kind of like math. You know.
Yeah. Right. It's math light.
It's math for kids that can't do math.
Yeah. Your kid can't do math? Have him play a trumpet. It's like the same thing. And yeah, it's funny. Like I feel like anyone that knows me would not attribute the word patience to my personality. But when I have like class reviews at the end of the semester, it's always like, Professor is very patient, doesn't mind explaining things over and over again. I was just like, really? Oh man. I guess music gave me more patience than I thought I had.
My wife will tell you I'm very patient about some things, and I'm very not patient about other things, and they do not have a correlation. Like sometimes I'm really chill, like whatever, and then other times I'm like, I need it done now, you know. Traffic is one of those things. I think every person around me on the road at any given time is the worst driver in the world. You know,
true.
And they just happen to all be around me, and I can't get away from them. She gets mad at me.
Damn. Yeah, I can't remember teaching. And it's totally not the educator's fault. It's like, okay, you have a 60-minute class. 5 minutes of that is getting in the door. There's going to be at least a 10-minute warm-up. 5 minutes is packing up. Or maybe 2 minutes if you have a really good school. And it's just like, man, UIL, music, soul, and ensemble, contest, marching band. It's like, where's the time to talk about history?
Yeah. You're exactly right. It's just, and you don't want to necessarily shortchange that because it all is important.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, like you just, I mean, you know, time is money, and there's only so much of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Chris has taught in Colorado and Texas now, and I've taught in, I guess, Virginia and a little Nevada and Texas. But like the Texas kids play on such a higher level because they get like personalized attention, right. And they get like successes, and they like learn a piece, and they learn how to like achieve things and like manage their time. And it's just like, okay, this state has given more money and time to music education, and like the kids are doing better and going out and like becoming engineers and like doing better things in college because they're in these successful band programs. It's like maybe if we just attributed at least 10% more budget to everyone's state program, like your kids would obviously probably do better because they get more success, more one-on-one time, more achievements under their belt, and then they go out and do better in whatever they want to do.
Yeah, I've never taught in Texas. I've taught in Kentucky the whole time, short of like doing lessons or clinics or whatever in places. But the Texas, at least from the outside looking in, Texas, as far as music educators, that's the envy. Like that's what we all want, you know. And that may be unjustifiably, like we all, you know, maybe we've romanced it too much. I don't know, but because I'm sure there are programs in Texas that struggle. I'm sure that there are.
For sure.
You know, I'm sure there's lots of areas that, you know, my situation is better than anything that they've ever thought about. But, you know, I know some people that teach in Texas, and I know some programs in Texas, and it really appears like they've got it kind of figured out.
Yeah. I mean, a good chunk of my methods class that I do at JMU for the majors is just like how to advocate, how to like talk to your administration, how to like promote your group, and so on and so forth. What are you saying, Chris?
I was going to say, I think a lot of it also has to do with, like, finances for a lot of groups, too. Like, we can afford, like, the extra group teachers, and, because that's the thing I've been struggling with up here. I wouldn't say struggling with, but, like, you know, going to Plano, it's just like, all right, well, we'll give you, like, $1,200 a month to come out and help with, like, marching band stuff, and then you'll also pick up a couple of classes, and then, but you also get lesson students. And up here, I've had schools that'll be like, we'll give you $3,000 for like 6 months of work, and I'm like, no. And like, we could talk about how much I'll come out for that much, but it's not going to be regularly. And I turn it down, and then there's like 100 people that jump at it up here. And so it's some, I guess, a little bit talking about finances could be about, what's expected and like what people have learned to value their time with. But I mean, going back onto the thing, talking about like there's obviously good schools and schools that are still struggling in Texas. But I think one of those eye-opening moments for me was when I was working in Plano. We had the Plano Drumline Contest where a lot of the Dallas and surrounding area schools would come in. So you'd see a lot of really well-known percussion programs out there playing. And it was all based on, we had different categories based on like group size and stuff, so it would kind of keep it honest from certain groups. So not everybody's out there competing against Flower Mound and Marcus. But I remember, I believe it was Airline High School, which is Shreveport, Louisiana, came out there one year, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, well, I know that area. I was like, I haven't heard anything from them before. That's really interesting that they're coming this far out. And, in my mind, I've got like the Texas teacher mentality where I'm like, well, why would they bring their kids all the way out here? This is like a Texas competition. Like, what are they hoping to do here? It's like, this might not be good for them. I had this like whole worry the entire time, and they took second in the category. Like, they were really good. I think they kind of blew everybody's expectations because, I can't speak for the entire state, but I don't hear anything about like Louisiana teachers. I don't really know what the programs are like or what the situations are like, other than it's Louisiana. And like I said, that came out here. It's like, well, they're going against like these big schools that have like drum corps teachers, and like they have like they keep people in their category. There's like a drumline teacher, but then there's a snare tech, a tenor tech, a bass tech, and 2 front ensemble techs. It's like these kids have so much resource. What could they show? And like they just came out there and just threw down. It was wild to watch, but
right.
Good teaching and a good culture definitely trump all. But I hate to say money, but money makes that easier. But it is definitely possible even if your funding's not great. But again, it's tough. It's a rough world out there.
Yeah, the money thing is tough. For depending on what situation that you're in. Like, we're in the 5th Congressional District of Kentucky, so I mean that's the poorest congressional region in the country, usually, or one of, if not the. It's the mountains. It's exactly what you think it is, And so when you tell kids private lessons, if you throw that word out there, they don't know what to do. Their parents are like, really? And then you have to drive an hour and a half or whatever to find a college professor to be able to do it and things like that. And that's just kind of the next step that we need to take, but we can't, because it's just hard to find. It's hard to find people. It's hard to find the money. And you said talk about $3,000, and you wouldn't be there regular or whatever like that. I mean, I'll say, man, you couldn't get that here. You couldn't get 3,000, and someone would be there daily for 1,500 probably.
Well, hopefully that didn't sound pretentious.
And that's what people. I mean, that's what people are worth. I mean, if you want to get somebody that's quality, but here it's tough sometimes. There are schools that pay that and pay more, but for the most part, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it's kind of like that in this area of Virginia I'm in, where somebody posted a thing that's just like, I can give you like $250 to come out like once a week and then to football games and our contests we go to. And some people are like, oh, that's not enough. And I'm just like, no, I know this person. That's what they have. Like, they're just, at this point, they're like pleading, like, please, somebody, like, come help us. And it's just like, well, crap. Like, you want to help them. And so, I mean, again, for those undergrads that, I don't want to say, like, go broke going to teach at schools, they're going to break you, but, like, some experience is better than, you can't get the big kid gig until you've done some of the
small kid gigs.
Yeah.
I worked a drumline camp one time for a Taco Bell gift card.
Nice.
That's probably my lowest moment of life.
Taco Bell's good.
Taco Bell is good. I'll give it that. In East Texas, there was a school I worked with one summer, and this was long ago, but I was dating a girl at the time, but she was the color guard instructor there, and or the color guard tech from we were both an undergrad, but I came out to visit, and so she talked me into going out to work with this little drum line, and it was a small school, like in Texas. There's like 2 snares, kind of a set of quads, like 3 basses, and there was one kid that played cymbals that the band director had taught him how to play. I totally it was like Little Monkey, like he held his hands like way above his head and was doing like the hand claps and always showing the sound at the end of it, which I tried not to laugh at because it was kind of funny and adorable in a weird way, but like I think they had like 2 kids in their front ensemble, and I just happened to be in the area, and they convinced me to come out and help for like 2 days while I was there, and I did that for taco dinners at the local Mexican restaurant. So,
man, it's talk about the crashing woman doing this. Like, that's like an epidemic down here. You know, I see people do it all the time. They hold it up and then like they wave it like it's a cheerleading exercise or some kind of like. And you can argue the merits of like, you know, moving the cymbals in certain directions or whatever like that. But I mean, the wave thing, I've seen 3 or 4 people do that down here. I don't know. Must be a YouTube video or something. I don't know why it happens.
We have the issue with people doing suspended cymbal rolls, starting on the bell and going to the edge. And we're just like, okay, all right, percussion community, Tacet Thoughts, episode 5. Which one of you started this trend? Because I'm going to find you, and we're going to have a sit-down.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, man, you probably seen one of my groups do it, because I always seem to have a kid that no matter how many times you say, look, man, edge. You get to that point, and you cue them, and there they are, out of the bell, just hammering away.
So, Adam, we have one question from Chris. We've been meaning to ask some folks, and you seem like a good person to ask this one.
Go for it.
All right. This is heavy business.
Okay.
Super serious. All right, when it comes to wings, are you a dry rub or a wet wing? And do you prefer bone-in or boneless?
I go standard is dry rub bone in.
I can get behind that.
I can get behind it.
I can get behind any kind of wing, though.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying no to anything. It depends on the place.
That's the good answer.
Yeah, dry rub bone in if it's a place. There's a place in Louisville, I think it's called Champs. They do like a sweet, like a cinnamony kind of dry rub bone in. It's pretty killer. I lived in Memphis for about a year when I was a kid, and it was, I mean, barbecue, chicken wing, like everything, you know. So a lot of the wet sauce, the vinegary based wet sauce was what they all did. So, but I think standard dry rub bone in. It's a great question. I mean,
that really separates.
I could probably start my own podcast about wings. So
just bring in guests. Donald Trump, what do you have?
He probably likes like.
I mean, the man ordered a well done steak.
I don't know.
With ketchup, which so did my wife, but whatever.
That's different. You married her.
She's
you didn't marry the president.
I saw a thing read in Anthony Bourdain's book, I think, a while back, and he was talking about if you order a well-done steak at a restaurant, you're going to get a piece of meat that's probably turned or about to turn. Like they go to the back of the freezer and find the worst thing they can, and here's your steak. So, well done. Never do well done. Nope.
No, I feel that. Well, yeah, man. Adam, thanks for hanging out with us and telling us about just everything. Man, we covered beatbox, UK basketball, cigars, moving mountains, new kid, music ed, wings. I lost count. I lost track. Touring. We covered everything.
You got it all in.
Dude, that's good. Man. All right, man. So if you're listening, funny enough, Adam's episode will come out September 3rd, which I looked on Facebook, and is actually, I believe, your birthday.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Happy early birthday.
It's also my grandma's birthday, so happy birthday, Nanny.
Happy birthday, Grandma Hopper and Adam as well. If you're listening now. For us, it's a few weeks out. Cool, man. Yeah, well, thanks for hanging out. And for everybody listening, we'll catch y'all next time.